Hello, everyone. My name is April. Today, I want to discuss with you about decision making between individualistic and collectivistic cultures. To begin, what is culture? Culture is the information shared in context between members of a species, like parents, neighbors, and friends. Decision making is the universal practice in human behavior that is rational and requires you to choose between options. Cognitive processing is also considered to be universal. However, research suggests that cultural variation affects this process. Individualistic cultures are described as being detached from relationships and community, are relatively independent, and they prioritize the self. Collectivistic cultures are the complete opposite. They focus on relationships and community, like the roles they play and the status within the social system. They value the group over personal gain and consider the opinion of their inner circle, like their family and friends. It's time to talk about some theories about how these types of cultures make decisions. Conflict resolution can be a formal or informal process to finding the solution to the problem, but it doesn't take into account cultural variation. Burton and Sandoli considered conflict resolution as a basic human need to satisfy. Ethno-conflict theory, or local common sense, is the implicit knowledge in a culture. Conflict resolution techniques are part of several aspects of negotiation and its processes. Now the next theory is rational choice theory. This theory is mainly driven by self-interest. It works by simplifying the issue, therefore allowing the individual to predict possible outcomes for their choices. However, it doesn't account for our inconsistent behavior. This theory assumes that we know exactly what we want, that we can organize our choices, and choose the best way to achieve the goal, as if we have the perfect information to make a decision with the pros and cons in consideration. Satisfying theory is basically a shortcut that permits us to choose the first option without really thinking about other choices. Now, with the theory of emotion, affect plays the primary role in decision making. For example, when faced with a choice of life or death, like a hit and run, for example, some would panic and run from the scene, while others will stay and help. Your fear basically takes over in this moment, and all logic just flies out the window. A study conducted by Gordon and Arian concluded that the greater the threat, the more likely your choice is irrational, and the less threatening the problem is, the more logical and pacific is the solution. The theory of cognition is about human processing information and how we gather and evaluate it. It's like the behavioral decision theory, which is people using cognitive shortcuts and preferences when processing information. Because of our inconsistency, prospect theory explains that we give value to our options from gains and losses. This theory introduces heuristics, which is just another cognitive shortcut. The most common heuristics are availability, which is based on the most accessible and easiest to come to mind information, representativeness, which groups things by similar characteristics, and lastly, adjustment and anchoring, which is basically just going with what you know and changing things as you go. Lastly, there is the blended theory. It is a combination of the rational, emotional, and cognitive theories, which brings us to the most popular theory in this, which is the polyheuristic. It essentially combines aspects from cognitive and rational approaches. The first step is cognitive, by getting all the choices and narrowing it down. Then it's followed by using rational techniques to evaluate each option. Since we know about the theories of decision making between individualistic and collectivistic cultures. Let's discuss the current models on this topic. Newman and Morgenstern introduced expected utility as a normative model. Expected utility equals the probability of a given outcome times the utility of the outcome. Essentially, you have a problem where you calculate the value of your options and pick the one with the best score. The problems with this are the simplicity of the problem, the success criterion, how difficult it is to add value, the best numeric choices aren't always picked, and the lack of decision processing. While the normative is basic, there is the descriptive model that goes into the process of decision making. It begins with recognizing the decision problem exists, then you investigate the causes and the possible effects of the problem, define and prioritize your goals, gather relevant and necessary information, evaluate and organize the information into a mental model, plan alternative solutions, anticipate consequences of possible choices, select a preliminary choice to use as an anchor to compare your choices with, select and reject bad choices, select the best choice and make the choice, inform others of the decision and the reasoning behind it, and evaluate your outcome. So let's say Brittany wants to wear a cute outfit for an outing. She has a few options between a black, a yellow, a blue, a white, and a red dress. She thinks of reasons for each outfit, like if it's for the right occasion, the time of day, and the level of compliments that she wants to get. Based on that reasoning, she makes her choice. Well, you're probably wondering if there's a better way to compare these cultures, and there is. It's called the integration model. It basically attempts to view, compare, and explain things from both an individualistic and a collectivistic value. This model understands the horizontal view of an individualistic culture and its need for self-responsibility, equality, and information gathering, and the vertical view of a collectivistic culture and its need for the social hierarchy, its reactiveness and adaptive strategies, and the social consequences of the decision. In addition, it takes into account the individual differences. So if you look at figure 2, you'll see the values on the far left, which are the individualistic, collectivistic, the vertical, and the horizontal. From there, you will see that it goes into the abstract decision-making strategies. Depending on which one your culture lies in, or which culture you lie in, you'll follow those steps. And then it takes you to the actual decision. So you'll see that there are some arrows that are solid. They stand for the positive relationship between the variables, and then there are broken arrows for the negative relationship. Lastly, the curvilinear arrows represent the unclear relationship between them. Now, thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you have a great day and that you hopefully enjoyed this information.